let's talk about another Big 12 matchup that is absolutely magnitudes this game has on the outcome of the Big 12. Kansas State at Texas. Texas minus 4.5. Wow. I mean, Kansas State, after losing to Oklahoma State, which we thought was a terrible loss, shame on us to think that, uh, they have stormed back. They're playing some of the best football in that conference right now.
Well, and Missouri on the road at Missouri, at Oklahoma State. Those are two. Missouri's in the top 12 or whatever in the new college football play, 13 in the new college football playoff, and Oklahoma State is playing great football, just about as good as anybody in the country right now.
Yeah, they're kind of a wagon right now. So, yeah, give me Will Howard. Give me the plus 4.5 and give me them to win straight up. I think Malik Murphy is good. We saw that in the spring game. I don't think he looked amazing this last game. I don't think he looked very comfortable. I think maybe another week he could get settled in. But Texas is pretty banged up on the defensive side of the ball right now. Kansas State's defense been flying around. I think Texas is going to have to run the ball really effectively this game. And if they don't, then they're in a lot of trouble. Will Howard's been slinging the rock around. He's been slinging the rock. Also, DJ Giddens, of course, been getting an administration award. I mean, it's been awesome.
Avery Johnson as well, getting on the ground, and the two-quarter system has worked. I mean, I was the guy that I did not like it. We put him on Houston upset alert last week, and they 41-0, just like that. Both quarterbacks played fantastic, and obviously, the old adage, like if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I don't think that's the case. I think in some scenarios, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, if you're Kansas State and if you're Chris Kleiman, you would have loved if Will Howard was just a stud and take that leap that we thought he was going to take.
He is kind of.
But
I think he's really good.
He has been. Beginning of the year, he was not great. He made some bad decisions in the Oklahoma State loss. Missed some throws in the Missouri game as well. Who would have liked to have back. But Avery Johnson brings that dynamic to this offense that is just different, right, with his legs. And it's really interesting. I do agree with everything you said. I think Kansas State's a wagon right now. I think Malik Murphy struggled. With that being said, Malik Murphy played bad. I thought bad. And they won 35-6 against the BYU team that was actually playing really well in conference. And I think Sark, this team is different this year with Texas. I know they lost against Oklahoma, but they've rebounded well since then. I know it's hard to take. I just think Texas, I don't think they need Malik Murphy to do everything. I think Jonathan Brooks can have a really good game. I think the defense can cause some turnovers, even though they're a little bit banged up. I know you said that. But I think Malik Murphy get 2 weeks to get settled in. Sark has a game plan for him and ready to go. Like, yeah, I think Texas is gonna get it done here. I'll take the 4.5 points at home. I think it's a big deal not having to go to Manhattan. But like you said, this is huge implications. People forget. People wrote Kansas State off after that Missouri loss, and then a couple weeks later they lost to Oklahoma State. People wrote them off. They only have one loss in conference. They control their own destiny, right? The rest of the way. This is a huge matchup. Huge matchup. You would have loved to see Quinn Ewers play in this game, obviously. You hate when star players, especially quarterbacks, get hurt. But I think Texas is deep enough. I want to ask you a question here, though. Do we see Arch Manning?
No. He is not ready for this. If
Come
we
on,
see him,
he's a guy.
If we see him, I will feel indefinitely better. Well, sorry, I will feel infinitely better about taking Kansas State straight up and plus 4.5 on this show.
Without a doubt. Because now what I did hear is that they have been splitting reps in practice. I don't think it's been 50-50, but I do think they are getting Arch ready to play if he has to. And to me, that does that worry you about Malik Murphy? Like, the thing is like Sark really likes him. Like, he could have gone in the transfer portal. He could have gone else places. And Sark and the NIL there like went out of their way to keep him.
No, it does not. It doesn't worry me about Malik Murphy. I think he's just making sure. Like, here's the thing: if Malik Murphy goes down, like, Arch Manning is going to have to play a few games before Quinn Ewers gets back. For the Big 12 folks, they would need Arch Manning to be good in those
two road games at TCU and then at Iowa State. Iowa State, we talked about, also only has one loss in conference. The Big 12, there's 5 teams that are 4-1. These two teams, the teams we just previewed, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and then Iowa State, we just mentioned. The Big 12 is in for a crazy November. A crazy November. And yeah,
So the whole like splitting reps, obviously it's not even. I think they just are really like they're preparing. They're preparing for, you know,
man, yeah.
code red. They're preparing for
And,
code
and
red.
which is smart. I do think I've been talking about him since the offseason with Kansas State. Khalid Duke, man. He's got 5 sacks on the year, right? Not what I thought he was going to be doing, but still productive. He's been banged up a little bit. This could be a game where he gets it's a good O line for Texas, but there's some in the pass protection. There's been some liabilities there. I think he can make a play and be the difference in this ball game if it were to flip over to Kansas' side. I do trust Malik Murphy. I do like the running game of Jonathan Brooks. He's been a very nice, I would call it surprise, but there was a lot of hype around Cedric Baxter, right? Gray and some of these other running backs there at Texas, but he's been incredible.
So you're on Texas and the points.
Give me, I'll take it. Texas minus 4.5. What's the keys for Kansas State if they're gonna win this game? What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be? Will Howard. I think it's gonna be up
Yeah,
to Will Howard to kind of exploit
he's got to
that
make
banged up secondary.
and he's got to make plays on third down, right? I think that's gonna be the difference in the football game. I think there's a legit quarterback edge here for Kansas State. Like Will Howard plus Avery Johnson is just better than Malik Murphy. And now I wouldn't necessarily say that Kansas State's offense is better than Texas as a whole because, well, I do like DJ Giddens.
Right
I
now
like
it's
Philip.
close.
Yeah, exactly.
But now
So
the
and
weapons, obviously Texas on the outside weapons, but you need to get the ball to those weapons, right? So what good are weapons if you don't have the
yep,
quarterback edge? Yeah,
but
we're
you also
seeing
have
that
Sark.
now in another part of Texas, closer to College Station.
Sark,
We're seeing that.
Sark though. Sark's a difference maker, right? And like
He
it's hard
is.
to factor in. Like there's some coaches in college football, Mike Elko. Like it's just hard to pick against them. You know, it's very hard to pick against them, and Sark can be the difference. 2 touchdowns, 2 long touchdowns can be the difference in this football game, and them
I
covering and
agree.
not covering.
Wow. So the first two games we're looking at OU, OSU, and Kansas State, Texas. We're both fading each other. That's awesome.
But how fantastic would this be? Real quick for the new Big 12, man. Wouldn't you love that commissioner? Wouldn't that put a smile to his face if Kansas State and Oklahoma State get a dub and they have another conference championship missing both Oklahoma and Texas as they leave for the SEC? Wouldn't that be
That would
just
be a gigantic middle finger.
because 3 weeks ago it was a much different feeling in the Big 12. You had Kansas State was struggling, Oklahoma State, nobody knew was this good. Iowa State just lost to Iowa and Ohio, and like it was a real mess. It was the new Big 12 comers were getting blown out in their games. Like it was a real mess. And now here we are in November, and it's gonna be a dog fight to the very end.